Waiver Show. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the Fantasy Coaches Podcast, everyone. I am your host, as always, guys, Coach Steve. We are back with another fantastic episode, hopefully tonight. If you tuned in on Thursday, I do apologize in advance. I had some technical difficulties mid-show. Never recovered from it. Still never recovered from it, but we are back on Monday today, giving you guys a quick 30-minute waiver wire update. Monday Night Football's going on right now. Chiefs are up 7. So that's where we're at right now, guys. Giving you a little quick intro to week 6 here. So, Coach Tyler, brother, what is going on?
What's up, guys? Yeah, great game going so far. Patrick Mahomes has gotten me my win for the week in my biggest league, so that's all I really care about. So let's jump into week 6 now.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of things going and went down. Unfortunately, what happened, big injuries occurred, or at least one big injury occurred. Marion Hampton is out 4 games IR. We're going to talk about his replacements in a few seconds there, but if you're like me, I'm devastated on that because I was really looking forward to seeing Marion Hampton shine, but you have to wait a couple of weeks, unfortunately. So, all right, so let's get into this waiver talk here, guys. Where's my little screen here? All right. So, waiver wires. Again, these are my top 10 personally. I'm going to ask Coach Tyler some of his at the end that may not be on this list that maybe he is intrigued in. But we're going to go through the numbers one by one here. So, sitting here at the top, as long as he's still out there, which I believe he's still under that 50% mark, kind of where we draw a threshold for free agents, so waiver wire pickups. Michael Carter. Coach Tyler, anything you'd like to highlight on Michael Carter?
Yeah, I did like Michael Carter going into last week. We obviously had, the discussion, is it going to be Carter? Is it going to be DeMercado? And DeMercado talked himself out of a job by literally dropping the ball before he entered the end zone.
I'll never understand why any player would just not hold on to the ball through that fucking end zone. I'll never understand it.
It's, in my opinion, it's the dumbest celebration. Like, what does that do for you? But yeah, that hurt DeMercado in everything because in, the ultimate reality, if he holds onto the ball for another maybe 3 inches, 1, he's probably the starter next week. 2, the Cardinals probably win that game. So I think Michael Carter, both by, means of his play and how he did, just how involved he was, 23 total touches, caught all 5 of his targets. So we see passing game work there. I think he's just a product of both his environment and also the fact that the guy that he was competing with for this running back 1 role while multiple guys are on the IR decidingly doesn't want to hold on to the football.
Yeah. No, not at all. That was if you have seen it, I don't know where to find it. I'm sure it's on Twitter or probably someone on social media. I think it's Rich Gannon's the coach of the Cardinals, right? Jonathan Gannon. He laid it out on DeMercado. I felt so bad for the guy, but hey, that's the NFL. You gotta show up when your name's called. And Michael Carter once again showed up, playing at least 56% of the snaps, seeing most of the work in the receiving game, and again, he handled the workload in this offense there for at least probably 4 more weeks, because I know they say Trey Benson's on IR for 4 weeks, but I think they did say between 4 and 6 weeks. So Michael Carter right now is a borderline RB2, RB1, not RB1, RB2, RB3 moving forward for this team here, because they need someone to step up, and it was Michael Carter who stole the show here for the Cardinals. Going over the next one. Again, this is a really running back heavy week here. So if you're in need of running back, which is a lot of running backs that got hurt over the last few weeks now, you're in luck to some extent. Obviously, I mentioned Marion Hampton out for the next 4 games with ankle injury. So that leaves Kimani Vidal and Hassan Haskins as our replacement options for the Los Angeles Chargers here. Obviously, Haskins has been kind of a journeyman over the last few seasons here now in a couple places. And again, Vidal was that preseason hype rookie running back from last year who really did not pan out whatsoever for us in fantasy. But Coach Tyler, I mean, who is the guy that you're going to target more?
I want to say I kind of lean Vidal like you. If you're, at this point where you're looking for that replacement, you're looking for a guy that's going to boom. Because I know how much the Chargers are supposed to run the ball. We haven't seen it a ton this year as is, right? And that was with a, one-eyed Najee Harris and the young Ferrari in the garage, Amari and Hampton. The Chargers have been throwing the ball like crazy with those weapons out there, and now you lose both of them. So I can't imagine that Harbaugh is going to revert to running the ball all the time now. But I would go Vidal, because if you're in the position where you're picking up one of these guys, you're looking for a home run, right? You're not going to get a consistent 16 plus points from these guys. You're not going to get what you hoped Hampton would get you. And so I see the juice with Vidal. That's why he had all the hype going into his rookie season. People thought he was going to see the field more than he did. I do have a little more hope for Haskins. I feel like he was the one actually working in Najee Harris's place over Kamani Vidal. I could completely have those snaps wrong, but I want to say Haskins was the one getting first touches after Hampton, so I think he still has that role. But again, if you're picking one of these two guys up, you're really kind of hoping to catch lightning in a bottle, and I think Vidal is the one that'll give you lightning a lot more than Haskins can possibly do.
Yeah, I mean, Haskins has never really done much in his NFL career. 195 rushing yards over, well, technically 3 seasons, but really 4 seasons. I mean, he really just has never been much of that guy. Where I think Vidal could have that opportunity still. Again, there was reasons why people liked him outside of him just seeing a big workload off the bat there. But Vidal is someone I think has that, like you mentioned, kind of more of a home run threat to his game there. And I think if I'm going with somebody who can make a difference, I think it would be Vidal. Again, depending on how many leagues you're in, I mean, I would, mix and match a little bit because obviously you just don't know. I compared to the Cardinal situation, I was much more in on Michael Carter being the guy. This situation, I still lean Vidal, but I think it could go either way. I think you're right. I think Haskins was filling in as the Najee role, and I think that's kind of his role, while Vidal will take over the Hampton role to whatever extent that might be. So, again, you're going to have a starting running back out of one of these two. It may take a week or two before they really separate. But, again, I'd be going to pick up Vidal first and then Haskins in drafts on waivers right now. So I get down and funky asked the question, what do you do having Golden and Watson coming back? Do you sell Golden and pick up Watson? Yes. Well, Watson's 21-day window did open back up for him to return, but are you concerned with Golden? And are you picking up Watson?
I'm not concerned with Golden. I would possibly pick up Watson just to see, but we know what Watson is, right? He's a home run threat with some terrible hamstrings. So even the fact that he is coming back to play this season doesn't mean that you're going to have him for the rest of the season. So I wouldn't go and sell a player like Golden that's had the investment, that's starting to, get more comfortable, get more in that groove, to get a guy like Watson. I think that Watson can definitely be a hitter. I'm not saying that he's not going to go out there and, have a couple 25-point weeks for you. But at the same time, he might hit 2 25-point weeks in a row and then be out the rest of the season because he stubbed his toe walking in the team facility.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't know what you could sell high for on Matthew Golden. I don't think he's done anything to really proven to other fantasy managers that like, oh, I gotta have Matthew Golden right now, and the return on your investment on that trade, I just don't think you're getting quality on it, and I'd rather hold. We don't know when Watson's coming back. We don't know what kind of role he's going to be, what kind of how he fits in the offense now. Despite he did get a weird extension this offseason, but we don't know what his role is going to be. Golden was a first round pick. They obviously was a reason why they went and got that guy. And usually after a bye week, I kind of want to see what a rookie does because sometimes they get a little bit more involved. Sometimes we could see Golden with a 8 or 9 target game this coming week here. So I don't want to hold. I don't know. You could try to sell, but I don't know what you're getting that's really going to make it a great sell for Golden. I'd rather hold on and see what happens with his situation. Moving on to our third waiver wire pickup for week 6. I have Mason Taylor. If you're in need of tight end, which again, half the league is probably in need of tight end half the time, but the rookie really stepped up over these last few weeks here now. I mean, 25 targets over the last 3 games here. He's obviously seeing more involvement. I know some of the matchups were easier. But again, outside of Garrett Wilson, it's been Mason Taylor as the other guy in the passing game here. And I'm quite okay with that. He's being involved. And again, and for tight ends, and if you need someone, volume speaks words when it comes to tight ends. And Taylor's doing that. Coach Tyler, anything you'd like to say on Taylor?
Yeah, no, it is encouraging looking at the box score. 12 targets, 9 receptions this past week. But I would want to dive deeper into it. I don't have the exact, when his targets and involvement were in front of me, but the Jets were in a lot of garbage time in this game. And it was, Fields coming back. There is hope because, Mason Taylor is starting to, see that uptick, 1 target to 2 targets to 6 to 7 to 12.
I do got you. He's got so far through, how many ever games. In the fourth quarter alone, he's 11 targets for 101 yards.
Yeah. So, I mean, garbage time merchants aren't a bad thing, especially when they're playing for the Jets, because there's going to be a lot of garbage time in those games. But yeah, he's someone that was really highly touted coming into this draft, right? People had him for the most part as their tight end 3 behind, the big 2 that Tyler Warren is Tyler Warren. And then, we're waiting on Colson Loveland to actually come back and be healthy and be that guy. But Mason Taylor was right there in the fold of those top 3 guys. And, the Jets showed that with how they drafted him. And so it doesn't surprise me that he's starting to get worked in more, especially with the lack of weapons in that offense.
So bad.
You're just, for the most part, hoping that the Jets are as terrible as the Jets usually are, and that Mason Taylor is going to be racking up these receptions going through your garbage time witching hour moments.
In the next 3 weeks, I mean, he's got the Panthers and the Bengals. Those are going to be prime matchups. Denver, it's going to be so in that there. But oh my God, Travis Hunter made a great catch. Wow. Yeah, but the Panthers and Bengals. Yeah, I know. I got to stop saying shit. Panthers and Bengals are going to be good matches for him. So if you're looking for tight end, sticking with that, even though I kind of messed up the numbering. Number 4, Darren Waller, Miami Dolphins. If you watch that game, and unfortunately, Darren Waller had like 5 receptions for 78 yards and a touchdown within the first 15 minutes of that game. The rest of the game, 0 targets. Very weird, but again, just kind of like the Jets, Miami doesn't have a second option outside of Jalen Waddle, and if you count Devon Achane or not, again, I think that's still a separate situation. But in terms of receivers, tight ends, it seems to be Darren Waller. Now, hopefully they can find a way to get him more involved for the entire game. Limited snaps, things like that might have impacted his play in this game, or the coverage that the Panthers said, no, we're not letting Darren Waller just beat us the entire game. Beat us with somebody else, please. So, but how do you feel about Darren Waller? I mean, would you prefer Waller over Taylor right now?
I don't know that I'd prefer Waller over Taylor. I'm going to be honest. Last week when he came out and scored that first touchdown, I didn't even know Darren Waller was playing football. I knew he was on the Dolphins. I didn't know that he was playing last week. So I was very shocked to find the 2 touchdowns there. And then I was honestly even more shocked to see him come out this past week and put up 5 for 78 and another touchdown. But if he's going to be a touchdown machine for the Dolphins, if he's going to be that number 2, and I mean, we're looking at 2 top 5 tight end finishes in the first 2 weeks when everyone thought this guy's career was dead and that he was just going to be a rapper. I love it, right? I don't know that I would trust the touchdown dependency as much against the uptick in targets that we're seeing from Taylor. Like you said, if you're looking for tight ends, especially at this point on the waiver wire, volume is king. So if Darren Waller is getting in the end zone every week, then 100% I love him as a pickup. But also if he's not getting in the end zone, he's going to have to see the type of volume that Taylor's been seeing over the last couple of weeks to maintain that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Evan, that's going to be a big thing if he's going to continue to score, touchdowns week in and week out. But we'll have to see. Again, we saw last year when there was only one option at times for Miami, the tight end position kind of saw an intake of work. Obviously, Jonnu Smith. So it seems like if you're looking for a tight end, which again, half your league is probably looking for a tight end. Again, Taylor and Waller are two guys to go pick up right now because they're performing, and that's what you need: volume and performance from a tight end, and those are key things. Going over to number 5 waiver wire pickup here, I have Kendre Miller. I had him on my thing last week, though we didn't do a show, but I did have him on my thing last week when I was doing my ranking for free agencies. But Kendre Miller is back-to-back weeks now, kind of seeing a significant role in the Saints offense there. This past week here, he actually had more carries than Alvin Kamara. And again, it seems like maybe we're moving to more of that 50-50 split. Coach Tyler, how do you feel on Kendre Miller?
Yeah, I like Kendre Miller. And you do see the uptick in one of the bigger things that I see in that. You see double-digit carries over the last 2 weeks. But I see 2 weeks ago, 5.91 yards per carry. And then this past week, 4.1 yards per carry. Those are great numbers if you're looking to make your impact at running back. And another thing that's somewhat fallen through the cracks, unless you're really paying attention to it, the Saints have come out and said, with where they're at in the season, there's a chance that they're looking to trade off some veterans. And, a 30-year-old Alvin Kamara is one of their more valuable pieces, even though he is a 30-year-old running back. So an investment in Kendre Miller now, not saying that it's going to, result in a league winner, because the Saints offense is still going to be terrible, arguably worse with Alvin Kamara gone. But at the same time, you might be investing now in a piece that becomes the RB1 for this team, and there's not a whole lot behind him. So I like it from the long-term standpoint of there's a chance the Saints just go full tank mode, because honestly, it wouldn't hurt them too much to do. It wouldn't change too much of their trajectory on the season. But at the same time, you're seeing, double-digit carries. He's out carrying Kamara, who we know is a receiving running back, and he's doing it efficiently, right? He's averaging, just about 5 yards a carry. That's a great way to get on the field if you're a running back averaging 5 yards a carry.
That is very true. And again, I think a team like the Saints could be knocking at the Chargers could be knocking at the Saints door. So we'll have to wait and see on that. So, but yes. All right. To the back half of our top 10 waiver wire pickups here. I threw a quarterback in here. I think you could also think maybe Mac Jones, who's been fantastic as a starter. But again, I don't know if he's playing or not this coming week here. We don't know if Brock Purdy is not playing or not. So I threw Jackson Dart. And again, the matchup in week 6 is a little tough. He's got the Eagles. But for me, Dart has done well. I mean, averaging 20 fantasy points in his 2 starts. And the biggest thing that he offers that we love for fantasy is that he's got a rushing floor. He's been rushing very well. And in a matchup where likely the Giants are going to be probably behind in this game, they're going to probably need to rely on Dart to work some magic to move the ball a little bit, which could be good for fantasy, especially those who are missing. I wish I can remember the players who are on bye this week. I don't remember. I'll find out. But Coach Tyler, how do you feel about the young rookie quarterback?
Yeah, I'm excited about Dart. He was, personality-wise, he was my favorite quarterback going into this draft. He's one of those guys that you just look at and he has that dog mentality, right? And so he's someone that you want to see succeed. And you've seen him succeed in a, high-flying college offense with great weapons at Ole Miss. And then he goes to New York and has his one weapon taken away almost immediately. But I do see, the rushing floor. One of the biggest things for me, he did have 40 pass attempts last week against the Saints. The accuracy as a thrower is going to progress as he goes along. And like you said, he's going up against a tough defense. 54 and 55 rushing yards the last 2 weeks. And obviously scores the touchdown his first week as a starter. There's your 21. but still hits 19 without scoring the rushing touchdown. He's got the same rushing, almost the same rushing stat line, honestly, a more efficient one with 3 less carries there, but no touchdown. And he's still right there around the points. And this is another game where Jackson Dart's probably going to have to throw the ball at least 40 times to, hopefully stay somewhat in this game. He's an exciting player. He's making the most of a whole lot of nothing out there. But it's him and Cam Scadabo's team now, and I think they're going to make a little magic, going to surprise a couple people.
Well, I mean, Tyrone Tracy, I believe, is questionable for week 6, so maybe we might be getting him back. But the rookie quarterback is definitely someone to consider for this week's matchups. If you're in need of quarterback, it's Carson Wentz and CJ Stroud. You probably weren't using those unless you're in Superflex anyway, and Dart's probably on your team if you're playing Superflex. So next one up, I go back to the tight end position here because I think the tight ends, again, still, who's hurt? I can't see. Oh, Xavier Worthy's on the ground a little bit. Going back to the tight ends. Sorry, Tyler. I keep on.
You're good. He's grabbing his ankle. I'm looking at it.
Yeah. He's up. He's getting off the field. Stay off the field for the rest of the game. Be healthy for next week. But yeah, I go back to Harold Fanning Jr. I know this past week David Njoku was the guy for the Cleveland Browns here, and you're probably thinking like, oh, well, why Fanning? And again, for me, it's about consistency when it comes to certain players. And Fanning Jr. has been very consistent for us in fantasy. Again, it's not 15, 17 points per game. He's getting like 7, 8, 6, 9. I think one game he has the higher game. But for me, if you're looking for tight end, maybe you're in deeper man leagues or whatnot. Again, it's a consistent option for bye weeks. He's someone I need to have on my bench just to use for my bye week replacements. Again, probably not a league winner type of player because there's so much weirdness going on in Cleveland. But for me, Fanning's it's a solid pickup and bench guy. That's kind of why I have him as high as I do. So, anything you want to say on Fanning Jr., Coach Tyler?
Yeah, I'm not as bought in as you on Fanning. I just see, we got to see both tight ends kind of eat in the London game, but he's consistently getting the targets. He's just not consistently doing a ton with them, and that's kind of what scares me. Obviously, always room to grow. He is a rookie 5 weeks into the season. But I see the targets. I see, 4, 5, 6, 4 targets, and that's nice. He's got he's got a touchdown on the season. But, I just don't see enough out of this Browns offense, and I don't see enough out of him consistency-wise in terms of actually performing to fully buy in yet, because you have, the target numbers, but you've got 25, 24, and 13 yards the past couple weeks. Kind of saved his week this past week with a touchdown. This is one that you're buying in early on, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt to be early on these guys, especially if you're lower on the waiver priority and you can snag him up before someone else does.
Exactly. Going on to number 8 here. I have Kyle Monangai, Bears running back, rookie running back. And for me, I'm always intrigued by a running back coming off a bye week. Bears just came off their bye. DeAndre Swift has been less than stellar through his first 4 games of the season here. Again, fine, RB3. But, wonder if Monangai, and again, this is for all the rookies on the Bears, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland to some extent, wondering how much actual production that they're going to see maybe uptaked coming off a bye here. And Monangai, again, running backs are much more valuable backups than sometimes you need, and we'll have to wait and see. But again, he could see more work moving forward. Again, his work's been pretty light so far through his first 4 weeks here. I think he missed week 1. So for me, I think he's a guy that I'm willing to pick up for a week, see what happens. And if he doesn't obviously see an uptake, you drop him and you go for someone else in next week's waiver wire. Anything you'd like to say on Monangai, Coach Tyler?
Yeah, Monangai did play week 1, just had 1 target. I think it was 11. Yeah, an 11-yard reception. So he got something. But there was, a slight uptick in his play coming off of week 1, right? We see 10 total. Let me get this right. 8 total touches on 10 total opportunities, 7 rushes, 3 targets, and then 6 rushes, 1 target, and then going into the bye against Las Vegas where he wasn't necessarily needed, had 4 rushes for 18 yards. But again, I go to the yards per carry, right? Against Detroit, 7 attempts, he was averaging 4 yards a carry. Against Vegas, only had 4 carries, still averaged 4.5 yards, right? I think that he can see an uptick in work coming off the bye. They're able to go in and assess a lot, but at the same time, you have this rookie who's explosive. If anything, you need to get Swift off the field to maintain his health, but you're getting this extra pop of 4+ yards a carry. I enjoy that if I'm a coach, right? If I know I can take Swift out for a couple plays and I've got a guy that can, go make a reception down the field, but at the same time I can hand the ball off to him and we're going to be at a 2nd and 6 as opposed to a 2nd and 9. I love that. So I definitely see Monangai being able to jump up, especially against a Washington defense that has been kind of up and down this past season.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to watch the game and getting notifications all at once here. There's a lot of things going on, but yeah, I agree with you. I'm hoping that we'll have to wait and see on the young rookie running back here. So going over to number 9 here. We're almost done, guys. 2 more to go. Christian Kirk, Houston. Again, he's on a bye week, so maybe it's not the best thing that I realize he's on a bye week. But again, if you're a contending team, you don't really need much. Travis Kelce, come on. That wasn't Kelce, goddamn. If you're on a bye week and you need a wide receiver depth, because again, more bye weeks are coming. This is a light bye week. He's got a couple of light bye weeks, but we're going to have a heavy one soon enough. Christian Kirk has been continuing to have better play for most of the part since his return. Again, it's not amazing, but it's been solid. I think he led the team in receiving yards this past week, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check on that, but yeah. Again, season long, better play. He's going to continue to be that slot wide receiver here for the Texans. Again, you could also look at Kendrick Bourne from more of a this week situation. Again, I didn't see a lot of wide receivers I wanted to go after personally, but Kendrick Bourne's an option just depending on what goes on there with Ricky Pearsall and Jawan Jennings returning maybe in week 6, maybe even George Kittle. But Coach, I know you're the resident Houston fan. Anything you want to say on Kirk real quick?
Yeah, no, I do think Kirk is going to take a step up. Obviously, came back and the offense was semi-lackluster against Jacksonville. He still saw 8 targets in that game. I don't know if that's just revenge game numbers or if that's actually Christian Kirk deserving a bunch of those targets. But, we've only seen 4 targets in the last couple weeks. But what you've seen over the last couple weeks, definitely expected against Tennessee. Honestly, shocked me against Baltimore, even as depleted as they were, was the offense taking a step up, right? CJ Stroud looked a lot better. And if CJ Stroud looks better, as much of a Nico Collins fan and Nico Collins owner as I am, he can't get every target. Dalton Schultz is going to get his just because the offensive coordinator is a tight end guy. But there's definitely work to be had for Christian Kirk. And we've seen, the number 2 in the Texans offense, while it hasn't been, a single consistent player, be successful, right? We saw Stephon Diggs have some wide receiver 1 weeks last year. We've seen Tank Dell go out and be a wide receiver 1 for certain weeks as the wide receiver 2 behind Nico Collins. Like, there are plenty of opportunities, especially if the Texans are starting to figure it out. And they do, come into some difficult matchups, but all I'll say is if you are in the playoffs and you're looking for a deep flex, they got Arizona and Vegas the first 2 weeks of your fantasy playoffs. I like those matchups a lot. So he's definitely behind it on the season long. He might not be an immediate boom, but as the Texans progress and figure out where they're at with the new OC, he could definitely be a big part of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I said, again, those who are looking for wide receiver help, obviously Christian Kirk doesn't help you this week. But again, Kendrick Bourne, Troy Franklin, Darius Slay, Darnell Mooney, hopefully healthy coming off a bye. Those are some other options at wide receiver. Again, I'm not overly thrilled with them personally, but again, this is for me is a big RB week and some tight ends, obviously, but wide receivers is not something I'm thrilled with free agency right now. And then our last and final waiver wire pickup, Kenneth Gainwell. He may have been dropped. He may not have been heavily used already in your leagues, but he came off of a big performance in week 4 in Dublin. Now home. We don't know what the status is yet on Jaylen Warren. He could still be out. We don't know if he's playing in week 6 yet or not. But Kenneth Gainwell, again, show that he deserves a bigger role. I think Warren will be back in week 6. So that's why I'm not like overly, I don't have him higher because I think he's going to kind of go back to his role, but he might see a few more touches overall there. Again, if I would have found out in the next like day or so, obviously before you actually do your waiver wires that Jaylen Warren is out, he probably jumps up to 2, 1, maybe 3 because I don't know how long he's going to have starting RB1 mentality there in Pittsburgh, but Kenneth Gainwell obviously showed us something that he deserves a little more playing time. And again, another guy to bench pick up RB. So anything you want to mention on him, Coach Tyler?
Yeah, Gainwell had a fairly decent career in Philadelphia, always played, second fiddle, but again, we go to the yards per carry, right? Outside of, even including last year, it wasn't terrible. If you go through his whole career, he doesn't have insane attempt numbers, but 4.28, 4.53, 4.33, 3.87, and then this year he's at 4.4 yards a carry for his entire career. Like, he's been an efficient guy, and he's been a guy that can get it done through the air as well. And so I definitely see a role for him in the first place to be had. Arthur Smith doesn't like just using one running back, and now he's got a guy that he can go throw out there who can be the Jaylen Warren to what Jaylen Warren used to be. And so I like Gainwell. My big pickup, if they're still out on your waivers, this was, I think, the final guy I got to talk about before our show cut out this past week, but Rico Dowdle. I said that I believed in him, obviously, against the Miami defense. I believed that he could do something just because it was the Miami defense. And then he went out and he won a lot of people weeks if you were strong enough to start him. I didn't start him. I still won the weeks, but I wish that I had.
I start him everywhere.
But, you look at what he did this past week, obviously against Miami. I heard a great stat this morning. 23 carries for 206 yards and a touchdown, and then went 3 for 4 receiving for 28 yards. He's the first Panthers running back to rush for 200 yards since D'Angelo Williams.
Wow, throwback.
I was in elementary school when D'Angelo Williams was running the ball. So it's been a while. Even with, the great Christian McCaffrey there, he didn't even do that. And Dowdle, the Panthers have been semi-non-committal on Chuba Hubbard coming back this next week. They're labeling him as day-to-day, but he didn't practice at all last week. And Dowdle showed that, they don't need to rush him back. And, he pulls the Dallas Cowboys, who their defense has been good, but against the rush, they're bottom 10 in the league in terms of, rush yards allowed per game. And so, there's a role if Chuba isn't there. Obviously, Dowdle is very high up on my list if he's somehow still on your waivers. But even going forward, right, a couple weeks ago, he was on our show, and we were talking about how he's getting more work at the goal line, and the Panthers are starting to work him in more and more. And I think he's definitely earned a role after what he did this past week, even if Chuba comes back. So I think he's definitely a vulture guy that you would like to look for. But if he's still out there and you're able to snag him up before Chuba comes back and is healthy, I'm not going to say he's going to put up another 32 points for you, but a nice 18 from him wouldn't hurt too much either.
We'll have to wait and see on that one. Again, we don't know what Chuba Hubbard's status is. Again, I didn't have Rico just because he was over that markage of 50%. So, but not overly high, but high enough for if he's out there, obviously, like Coach Tyler said, he should be rostered right now. God forbid. Chuba does miss some more time. So, yeah, definitely not a big fan of Rico Dallas this past week. But that's more of a bias thing. So, but yeah, that is going to wrap us up for the night, guys. Hopefully, I said 30 minutes. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this quick waiver wire pickup segment here. Hopefully, there's some guys that you need so I can help you out going into week 6 here. We will be back on Wednesday to talk our matchups. We will do a full show, and that's my apologies this past week, but we will do a full show this coming Thursday here, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, going through the top 10 favorable and unfavorable matchups for each position. So, Coach, anything you want to say before we get going?
Yeah, guys, go check out dynastynerds.com. We talk about it every show because it's worth talking about every show. That's where me and Coach Steve met. We both do some work for them over there. But they've got a ton of great things, especially in season. You know, they've got all kinds of articles coming out every week. They've got waiver wire primers. They've got usage reports. They've got this, that, and the third, right? And they have, you know, great podcasts. If you jump in the Discord, they got all kinds of different things going on in there. And, you know, they have great tools for you Dynasty users too. You know, I'm a big Devi guy, big Dynasty guy. And so I love, you know, getting to go into the film room. I'm watching a lot of college football right now as is, and I know that Jeremiah Love is going to be my 101 going into next year. So we've already got that solidified, but you can go in that Dynasty film room, watch some film on some guys, get prepped up for that, especially if you want to look like you know ball, go talk to your friends. They got great tools like Dynasty GM. Helps you to analyze, you know, we're getting up to about a third of the way through the season. Trade deadlines are going to be here sooner than you know it. So if you're looking to trade picks, players, they've got great Dynasty calculator, great Dynasty trade database to go look through, see all the trades that are happening for synced leagues, kind of get an idea of who should be moving where for what. But yeah, go check out dynastynerds.com. Use code COACH when you get over there. Let them know that we sent you. And thank y'all for tuning in.
Yeah. And again, we thank you guys all for tuning in, whether you tuned in live tonight on our YouTube channel, if you're listening live on, you know, obviously YouTube after, or if you're listening on our Spotify. We do apologize for not being active in this last 3 or 4 weeks, but we promise you that that's going to change the rest of the season here. We'll be here for you guys rest of the season, trying to get you guys to the playoffs and hopefully win you guys a championship this year. So we thank you guys all for listening. Tune in until next time, everyone, and have a great one.
Back to back is not